Good afternoon, Washington, D.C., DMV area. That's right, you're listening to Uncle Devin on the Uncle Devin Show here on WOL 1450 AM, 95.9 FM, where information is power. And we am so excited to have as my guest, and it's interesting how paths come across. But I guess we both have children's books, and I met her because of the book that she has written. But you may recognize her, maybe her voice. But if you're watching on Facebook Live, you may even recognize her as a local TV host of a wonderful daytime talk show. I think from 9 to 10 a.m. in the Washington D.C. area. And so she's also an author of a new children's book called What is Life?
Excellence to the table day in and day out, right? Because you know that saying, you're only as good as your last show.
Yes.
Well, every day I have a chance to be better because it's live.
Yes.
So how did I get started? Well, one thing I'll say is I got started in television by doing a bunch of different jobs that weren't in television or weren't on TV, and being that person sitting at my desk thinking, oh, this can't be it. I've got
that issue. They have what they want to do and they're passionate about, but at the same time, the fear of, if I go after my passion, what if it doesn't work? And sometimes I say that you have to just try it sometimes, because you will always have that doubt.
Yes.
And so when you finally just decided to do it, what was that point when you, what did you do?
The point when I decided I'm going to go after being a television host, which is what was my goal at the time. I said, well, I ended up not taking an opportunity in a different city because I had so much going on, and I didn't feel like I had the support to easily let go of those things and then move on. Or the mature, now looking back, I didn't have the maturity either. So I said to myself, so here I am again, you know, a couple of years later, working in a job that's not really making me feel excited before, during, or after the day.
Right.
So I said, you know what, if I can say no to a great opportunity because I find it difficult to move, then I'm not getting any younger, and here I am sitting in a cubicle, feeling horrible, trying to mask that from everybody walking by the cubicle. How about I just go after what I really want in life and see where that takes me, and then I don't have that what if, that FOMO, right? Fear of missing out, that they say. You know, so people say it's always the things you don't do that you regret in life. So so there came a point where I was just kind of like, you know what? I've already said no to things because I couldn't figure it out. I was afraid. I wasn't mature enough. I'm just going to go ahead and be fearless and go after what I really want, which is to do TV. Wow. And so once I made that decision to, I'm going to go after what I want, then I feel like you make decisions from there.
And not only that, certain decisions are starting to be made for you just through, and you know, you and I have talked about this in the past on how just certain doors just start opening up once you have the courage. In fact, how we met, to me, and the story you told me about that. Now, you have a son, he's 4 years old, right?
He'll be 5 next.
Sharp little young.
November,
okay, sharp young man. But you had told me that after you had your child, you were looking for, and we're going to get to your book. Again, you're listening to the voice of Markette Sheppard, a local Washington, D.C. Television host. If you want to join the conversation, you can do so by calling 1-800-450-7876. That's 1-800-450-7876. Or you can send me a message through the Facebook Live feed. But you had told me a story about when after you had your son, you wanted to expose your son to some children's music.
Right.
And talk a little bit about that, how that came about, and how you learned about some of your children's music.
Absolutely. So the book that just launched this summer is called What is Light? It's on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. It's in all the major bookstores. Yes. And so we finally met because you were the performer at the book launch party.
Right. Thanks to Andres. Unos Dos Tres con
Shout
Andres.
Out to Unos Dos Tres Andres, another local kids performer. But the funny thing is, the journey to you performing at my book launch party is so, like, I'm kind of like such a believer in a higher power. It just kind of all fell together into my lap. So years ago, I had my baby, and you know, of course, you want to listen to kids songs and nursery rhymes, and you know, and so I started looking for performers of color, or performers with who played music that was more rhythmic and soulful and jazzy than the standard pop tunes. And you know, talked to some friends, and they said, "Oh, try out this jazz artist." And then my husband did some research, and we came upon your music, the Uncle Devin show. And my son, you know, he kind of caught on and started singing some of your tunes. And so fast forward, we had been listening for a couple of years, and he's 4 now, so we've been listening since he was 2. And I'm putting together this book launch party for What is Light. And it's funny how I even got Uno Dos Tres Andres. He was a guest on the show that I host. Yes. And he was a great guest, and he had good energy, and he performed, and that was it. We didn't like really talk that much afterwards. And then he said, "Can you come to Rockville and MC this event for me, and I'll give you 2 free tickets to my show." And I said, "Okay." Well, more importantly than me emceeing this event is something to do with my kid on a Sunday, on a rainy Sunday, besides him jumping up and down on my couch. So I did the event for him, no strings attached. I did it. It was, you know, thank you. by, didn't hear from him. And then I said, I'm going to invite him to my book launch party. And he said, do you need a performer? And in the back of my head, I was like, oh my God, yes, I need a performer. And before that, though, I was thinking, I would love to meet Uncle Devin. I would just, I was just thinking, like, wouldn't it be great? And then I kind of Googled and researched Uno, Dos, Tres, Andres, and I'm like, he knows Uncle Devin. But I can't ask, because he already, like, volunteered to play music, haul all of his equipment, no charge, no questions asked. He already volunteered to play at my book launch party. Like, it would just be too much for me to ask if Uncle Devin could play too.
Right.
And so out of the blue one day, he contacts me and he says, hey, do you know Uncle Devin? We're good friends. We usually play events like this together. Would you mind if I asked him to come? And it's like, this man he's reading my mind. Like, this is crazy. Because in my head, not asking anybody, not putting it out there, not even really telling my husband the plan I have going on in my head, he's kind of basically speaking into existence and arranging what I had wanted anyways to happen, which is to have you and him perform at my book launch party, which was amazing, by the way.
And so we're going to get more into your books.
Okay.
Because I'm just now realizing that you had 2 books, and we're going to talk about that. Your first, the latest book is What is Light? And it can be purchased on Amazon, you say.
Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Politics and Prose, wherever books. I just learned this weekend the Harvard University bookstore has it.
Okay.
So it's everywhere. So education majors, parents, grandparents, you can get it anywhere. Okay,
and when we come back from the break, we're going to talk a little bit about some of your adventures. I understand you just went out of the country with the book, and you have some giveaways coming up.
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
So stay tuned. You're listening to the Uncle Devin Show here on WOL 1450 AM, 95.9 FM, where information is power. We'll be right back.
Can I show the book cover on your
Facebook
Facebook
of course.
Live?
Absolutely.
Like, get the book.
I'm gonna bring you in now because y'all both from LA?
Yes.
Yes. Los Angeles.
Los Angeles, what part?
South Central.
All right, I'm from Carson.
Carson?
Yeah.
I'm a fan of all of my relatives out there in Carson, Holmes, Kemps.
Yes.
If you have any questions, anyone, just give us a call. Hi, Shannon Burbank. I see you.
Hi.
You're listening. Thank you for joining us. If you have any questions, just text us and we'll be glad to share it. Hold tight. Go.
Markette, so when did you leave LA?
What's that?
When did you leave Los
2002.
This report is sponsored
so
by
you just
NAPA.
recently made your move out to the East Coast.
I guess, depending on how you view recent, I feel like I've been here a while. Yeah.
Earlier delays on the southbound BW Parkway between 197 and NASA Goddard.
So ATM will bring you.
Traffic is very slow on southbound
Yeah, I know.
295 between Benning
No, I mean
and
on
East
Facebook.
Capitol
I know.
Street
Oh, okay.
and southbound
I'm gonna bring you
395
in.
slow going between
Just so and y'all can talk about LA, but I want to really delve into your books.
Okay, that'd be great.
Drive in both directions between Howard Road.
Pull up the other cover.
Napa Auto Parts has the expertise of making
What's the other cover?
Oh, let's see the other cover of the book.
I'm always marketing
That's right.
my rainy day rocket ship.
I need to do better. Just go to MarketteSheppard.com. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Markette Sheppard.
Just ask you, like, what's some of the obstacles that
Okay.
that you encounter
Okay.
for your
Stand,
television career?
Okay.
just stand by.
Information is power.
And we're back. Again, you listen to WOL 1450 AM, and this is the Uncle Devin Show and 95.9 FM. If you want to join the conversation, you can give us a call at 1-800-450-7876. That's 1-800-450-7876. And also in studio with me is, of course, my sidekick that's been with me since the beginning, none other than Mr. Grasshopper. What's proper, Grasshopper?
Oh, just being good all day long, Uncle Devin. Must. It's a must.
It's a must.
We all should be like that.
All the time. Well, and I wanted to bring you in because both of you all have that Los Angeles connection. I think you're from Los Angeles too, right?
Right. Los Angeles, South Central Los Angeles. And I heard that Markette was from
Carson, California.
Carson, California.
Oh, okay.
We're relative neighbors.
Yeah, the two black parts of LA, right? LA's big and wide. It's
pretty big.
It's not as African American as the DC area, but we come from two very densely populated.
I just want to ask her a question. What were some of the obstacles that she, encountered, on her way up to being a television host?
Some of the obstacles I encountered, the funny thing is I did a lot of thinking, this weekend, whenever the weather is bad, you want to stay inside, it's humid, it's raining, this and that. I was doing a lot of self-reflection, and I think my biggest obstacle in the entire journey from realizing I wanted to do this at a young age to today is me. It's my mindset and my thinking. First I had to get over believing in myself and can I even do this? And then I had to get over thinking of all of the reasons why I can't. Okay, so I believe in myself, but how is it going to happen, And there's this famous quote from Martin Luther King: you don't have to see the whole staircase, you just have to see the first step.
That's right.
So having faith. And so then you have to build up your faith. And then on top of that, you have to actually be good at what you do. So you have to build up your skills. And all of that was an inside job, making the decision to follow my dreams, making the decision to get the training and build up the skills that I needed. So in all of this, and I can't say that I've come to this conclusion much earlier in my life, but in all of this, I've been the deciding factor. And, getting gigs, getting jobs, showing up on time, trying to be excellent, and not every day is everyone perfect, but realizing my imperfections and trying to build on that and learn from that and see what not to do next time. All of that stuff, knowing who to open yourself up to and maybe knowing who to set boundaries with. It's all an inside job.
Yes.
Yes.
Another thing is also following principle. You don't have to sacrifice. I mean, you have to sacrifice, don't get me wrong, but you don't have to sacrifice your principles to get what you need. And of course, maintaining principles, there's a price to pay for that. But at the end, there's so much to gain from it. In doing the children's music show. In fact, I recently left a job after 19 and a half years.
Wow.
Now, but for me, the 19 and a half years was what I needed. You were talking about maturity. Well, I had to mature as an artist. I had to mature in other areas of life. It take years, and everyone has a different journey. And speaking of such, so the journey for you to get to your book. Now, talk to us a little bit about What is Light, and what made you come up with the book, and how did it all get to where we are now?
Absolutely. Well, I feel like the timing was perfect because I was mature enough to realize. I told myself, I'm gonna write this book. It's gonna happen. It's not a matter of if. It's just a matter of when. But then I had gotten through the whole, do I believe in myself? Can I do this? So that was all gone. And I was like, yes, I do believe in myself. And I've proven to myself enough that when I set my mind to something and I focus on it, it happens. I don't have control over the time. I wish I did, or stuff would be like happening like that. But I do have control over if I decide to do something. And I do it with a set of principles, like you say, that I believe in, then it happens. Right. So I just kind of believe in that. Okay. So with What is Light, I was home with my son after I had him for like a year. I was doing a little freelancing, but for the most part, I was stay-at-home mom, taking care of my newborn baby for the better part of a year. And while the day job, the 9-to-5 job wasn't there, my passion for storytelling was still there. And so I was so kind of just like, postpartum elation. Some people have postpartum depression. I had the opposite of that, where I was just happy. And so I said, I'm going to write a little notebook for my son of wisdom and everything that I want him to know and that I wish I knew at a younger age, but I'm just finding out now. So I started writing down little quotes, little philosophers' quotes and things like that. I started writing poems. And one of the poems that I wrote was, What is Light? And I let that sit in the notebook for about a year before I said, I want this to be a book. And I don't know how. I don't have any contacts in the publishing industry. I don't know the publishing industry, so I'm not going to self-publish. but I'm going to figure out what it takes to submit a manuscript to a children's book publisher, and it's going to happen. And there's just like no doubt in my mind.
Right.
So I started sending out the manuscript for What Is Light to first-time authors contests, to publishers, big publishers, small publishers, publishing agents, just, you know. And finally, I had a conversation with 2 author friends. The first author is a New York Times best-selling author, lives in Washington, D.C., and I know her. I just reached out to her randomly, and that's how I met her. So I called her, and I said, Sophie, her name is Sophie Burnham. I said, Sophie, I'm going to write a book. Do you have any advice? I'm going to write a children's book. She said, ooh, publishing is really hard, but my daughter writes children's books. And she just said, you know, join the Society for Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. And then she said, and remember, the universe favors the confident. And I was just like, oh.
Wow.
So just be confident. Okay. Like, that's like the hardest thing in the world to tell, because it's so ethereal, confidence, you know. So I just said, okay, the universe favors the confident, so I'm going to be confident this is going to happen. And so then another friend, another author friend, Sheppard Davenport, who lives in the area, she knew. I said, I'm writing these. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. And she gave me the name of my publisher, and she said, well, this woman, Deneen Milner, is starting a new children's book imprint. You just here's the name and the website. Not even like contact. She didn't know her at all. She was just passing along the information. So I remember it being Christmas time, and I still had the baby, and so of course you wait until like 10 o'clock after the baby goes to sleep, and it's Christmas, and I'm sending out my manuscript thinking, who's working at 10:30 on Christmas Eve, you know? Well, I send it, and then I very, very quickly, like I want to say before New Year's. So it's Christmas, I'm sending the manuscript to them, and maybe like before New Year's, I hear from like the president and CEO of the publishing company.
That's right.
That's a good sign.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a good sign. And it was a very short note, but it was like, okay, thanks, I got them. Send it this way to this person. Good luck. And I was like, that's a good sign. It doesn't have to be, 2,000 words.
Right.
And so from there, I ended up getting my publishing deal with Deneen.
Okay.
And so I'm with Deneen Milner Books and Agate Publishing out of Chicago. So many great things and people, especially for the people of color, have come out of Chicago.
Yes. Oh, yes.
So, everything was just like ding, 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 ding. Like everything's looking good and feeling good. And publishing is slow. It's not like radio and TV.
So from the beginning, from concept to print, or to release, how long was that?
Maybe 2 years.
Yes, exactly. And I want people to understand that.
Yeah.
And now, AT, you've done your own music CD. From the time you thought about it to the time you actually produced it, how long was it?
It was like close to 2 years.
Yeah.
Right.
That was fast. And people are like, wow, that was quick, Markette.
No, because they don't know what you go through to get all those steps. But is this your first book?
What Is Light is my first.
Okay.
It's my debut children's book.
Wonderful.
For a book. And
wonderful.
The great thing is, so it came out June 12th, 2018. And my release date, it was already on pre-orders. It had already hit the #1 spot on children's books on Amazon.
Wow.
Amazon has millions of books here.
Yes.
It already hit the #1 best-selling children's book in their sense and sensation category, which means light, and it can mean a lot of different things. And I really credit that to when you look at the landscape of children's picture books in particular. You don't see a lot of people of color in baby books. You see animals. You see people from different European backgrounds.
Yes.
But I think I was feeling, without even knowing it.
Yes.
I was fulfilling a demand
without a doubt.
from parents and grandparents, not just of color,
That's right.
but all backgrounds, who just want to see
Right.
people of color in a more positive light.
And you said something about a giveaway. We have just less than 2 minutes left. Can you share a little bit about your giveaway, and also how can people get in contact with you?
Absolutely. So this Saturday, September 22nd from 1 to 3, I'll be at the Lord & Taylor on Wisconsin Avenue in the children's department.
Lord and tell.
The first 25 people to come and make a purchase get a free copy of What Is Light. I believe I posted that on my Facebook page. You can check me out at Markette Sheppard on Facebook. My website is markettesheppard.com. I'm on Instagram at Markette Sheppard. There's also an Instagram for the book at What Is Light Book.
And then as you search around, you'll be able to see her weekdays at a local station as a talk show host.
Yes.
I am so proud of you.
Thank you.
So glad that you had a chance to come through and visit us here. And also, thank you for allowing me to be at your book signing. It was really, really an
Oh
honor.
my God, thank you for coming.
It was a pleasure.
Thank
Yes.
you both for coming.
All right. And again, you're now listening to, and this is the Uncle Devin Show here on 1450 AM, 95.9 FM. And again, we are glad to have our guest, Markette Sheppard, here on our show. So we will hopefully, and we will, they say if the, with all this bad weather, they say if the creek don't rise, we'll be fine. So anyway, we'll be back on air. But we hope to see you real soon. And remember, I always leave you that life is a drum, so beat it. I couldn't think of the quote.
That was fast. That felt like 2 minutes.
I know, doesn't it?
That felt like 4
Well, how do you
minutes.
deal with it on TV? Is it longer? Is it...
No, you just
Yeah.
deal with it.
Yeah.
Just
Okay, now we still,
5 days a week. Yeah.
and we're still live too.
Yeah.
I'd like to get some background. Let me turn this down. So here.
And
That
you know,
was
different
so
people. Now who's doing the choosing, the picking of people?
We all are. We all choose and look.
And
Yeah.
what kind of people? I mean, what different topics or what?
Yeah, whatever interests us. It's all just like a gut feeling. The problem with that is you got like 8 different people with 8 different interests, so it
Yeah.
can be a little bit of a roller coaster. But sometimes it works really good where the shows kind of flow nicely.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's 8 people. We're all booking and writing and producing.
But you're the host.
Well, yeah. There's 2 hosts and a
2
lifestyle
hosts.
correspondent. So yep.
Wow.
So what's next? What's your moving down the road, and
Yeah.
what can we expect?
Well, so my next book, My Rainy Day Rocket Ship, is going to be out next June.
Uh-huh.
I'm excited about that story.
Uh-huh.
And then I'm just open to the possibilities. I'm open to growing.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
and hopefully just learning more about how things work and what makes people tick. And,
Uh-huh.
and I'm still very much interested in storytelling and learning about people. And I like to say my specialty is ordinary people doing extraordinary things. I love doing stories on people like that.
Well, because of you, I've had Ragtime Baby.
Ragababy.
Ragababy.
Yes.
In
Sherry
fact,
Lumpkin.
Sherry Lumpkin was on the show. If you're watching Sherry, or if you're looking at the
Hi,
video
Sherry.
later, hey, and she and I are going to do a video together.
Okay.
You know, on our CD, we have a song called "See Yourself in the Picture," and we want to show children making dolls of themselves and that whole transformation process. And so we're going to use that to and show the video is going to be showing the children making dolls of themselves as they see
Nice.
themselves in the picture. So we met them through you. What was the name, Lolita, of the media company?
Oh God,
I can't
her
think.
name starts with an
And she does a lot of media downtown at the Capitol.
She was working at that time, I think, on the 4th of July.
Yeah,
event.
4th of yeah.
Her name is escaping
Oh,
me.
Melinda Jefferson.
Yes,
Yes,
Yep,
Melinda,
yep,
yes.
yep. She's great.
Yes,
she's great.
she's been in contact with us there as
Okay.
well.
Oh,
and,
good. Wow. So that was a networking
yeah,
event. I
no,
didn't even
no,
know all
we-
the networking was
it
going
was
on.
incredible, and we were just all of us just talking. I mean, it was wonderful. So
That was good. That was some good energy
it
in that
really
room,
was.
right?
It really
Yeah.
was.
Really nice.
It
That's
really
and
was.
that's like I'm like if you come to a Markette Sheppard party, one, I'm a good host.
Yes.
I'm not a good TV host only. If you're in my house or you're
Uh-huh.
at my event,
Uh-huh.
I like to think that people have a good time. They feel respected. They feel
Yeah.
appreciated. There's good food.
Yeah, and
It's a good time.
I mean, it was just a wonderful time, and we like those networks, and it's an honor to. I mean, it actually is the fact that you brought all of us together, and like I say, it's bigger than all of us. We know that there's a bigger force that's really creating and making all this happen, and so we appreciate you being here. And I'm looking forward to some greater things. You know,
Oh, me
bigger and better
too.
things. And if we
Me
can
too.
be of any help, you let us know.
All right, I'm excited.
Well, Facebook
Bye,
friends,
Facebook.
say bye to Markette Sheppard and check her out at markettesheppard.com.
Hey,
All right. So
Be good.
Grasshopper, and you see Auntie Lolita hiding in the back. All right, we'll be in contact with you soon.